You don't need to have a ton of money to start a business, but you do need to be able to work really, really hard. My name's Justin Von Meigen, and I've now done this twice with two different businesses that I've been able to grow to generate over $10 million in sales per year. I was going to college to be a doctor, and it was something I was kind of like groomed into my entire life. I have a couple uncles that are doctors, my cousin's a doctor, my grandfather was a doctor. So it was just kind of like, oh, if you get good grades, this is what you're gonna do. And school kind of came easy to me, but I knew that it wasn't something I wanted, right? I was like, man, I felt like I was working someone else's goal. And I think that's kind of what led me to my part of my drug addiction, right? It was like, I felt like I wasn't fulfilling any sort of purpose in life. And I knew growing up, I always had questions, and I was fascinated about people who had businesses, and I was super, super into it. It was like, hey, let me figure out some way to go into business for myself. But I didn't have any money. And I'm sure plenty of you watching this are in the same scenario. You want to start a business, you want to be successful, but you don't have any capital, you don't have any angel investors or anything like that. But I promise you, you do not need a ton of money to start a business. If everyone who started a business needed a ton of money, there would be no businesses out there. So the first thing that you need to do is figure out what type of product or service you're going to sell. You need to figure out what type of value you're going to bring to the marketplace. And the more value you can bring to the marketplace, the more you can charge for your product or service, the more problems you're going to solve. Money exchanges hands when problems are solved for people. So I want you to think of some things that you might already be good at, or some things you're interested in, you're already sold on. It's important to sell something that you're sold on. If you are a woman and you hate makeup, don't go try to sell makeup. I started selling insurance for my first company, but obviously insurance isn't a cool thing. The reason why insurance was cool for me was because it was the vehicle that was going to help me accomplish my goals, right? Ultimately, I want to take care of the people in my life. I want to retire my father. I want to do all these different things and have some really cool stuff that I never thought I'd be able to have as a kid. Insurance was the way for me to get there. So that's why I thought it was really cool. And I'm really sold on the purpose of the insurance that we sell now. Before, it was more like the vehicle, right? So think of what product or service you might be already good at that you can monetize. Some of you are probably pretty good at things that you can already monetize, but if not, I'm going to go over a couple things in this video that you can sell with little to no overhead. Overhead is an expense. When I say little to no overhead, it means it's not going to cost you much money to get going. You don't need a ton of money, but you will need a cell phone, and you might need some shoes to go walking in through some neighborhoods. And I'm going to talk about how I started just pounding the pavement method, door to door. You're probably like, I want to sit behind a computer and make a ton of money. Now, I do that now. I sit behind a computer and make a ton of money, but I had to do like the cold call, cold knocking stuff to make enough money to be able to invest in things to be able to sit behind the computer and make money. And then now the other business I started, it actually took me a good amount of money to start. It didn't need to, but it did because I wanted good systems and stuff. And then now I'm doing cold outreach to grow it. The first thing that you can start that I'm going to go over could be a lead generation company. Super, super simple. You do not need to know how to run ads on Facebook or Instagram or anything like that for a lead generation company. You can generate leads for things like real estate buyers and sellers, insurance, home services like roofing, HVAC, solar, pest control, and stuff like that. For this type of business idea, you're going to want to be in a more urban or suburban setting where there's houses and stuff where people will need these services. For example, let's use home service leads. You would find people who want pest control services and then pitch them on wanting a quote or learning about pest control services. So like I live in Puerto Rico. Every single house here needs to have pest control. They have to spray for cockroaches and rodents and everything else. This is what I would do. I would get a flyer printed out at a FedEx or UPS store or on my computer or anywhere, Walgreens, CVS, that lists the different services you can provide people with. So for example, you can have a flyer that lists solar, HVAC, pest control, roofing, window repair, hurricane proofing on windows. I lived in Florida, so if you're down south, that's important. If up north, not. Maybe insulation inspections. And you want to have this list on the flyer with a little explanation beneath each of what each of those will do for your prospect. So basically it would be like solar, lower your monthly expense, HVAC, make sure that your ACs and heating systems are running as efficiently as possible to lower your electric bill, make sure that your house is insulated, saving as much money as possible, and helping the environment too, which most people don't actually care less about the environment. Pest control is another one too, right? Pest control, make sure bugs aren't infesting areas in your house. Make sure termites aren't eating your the framing in your house. Make sure, rodents aren't chewing away at the inside of your house or going to the bathroom inside your walls or whatever. You can generate leads for this stuff in a few different ways. Join local Facebook groups, contribute to those groups, and then reach out to people directly after contributing and interacting with their posts for a couple weeks. All right. So this is more like a slow grow, but get popular in that group, start DMing people and reach out to them about these products or services. And you can also walk neighborhoods to door to door to generate these leads. Example, right? If I walked up to a door, say, hey, my name's Justin. I'm partnering with a few local home service companies here in Rincon, Puerto Rico. We offer services like solar, HVAC repair, roofing services, handyman services, renovations, and pest control. I would say them a little slower, and I would hand the flyer, right? Or if I had an iPad or a brochure or something like that, I would show it to them. Now, do you feel like any of these things have been on your to-do list maybe in the last year or two? Instead of saying, do you want any of these things or are any of these things important to you? I found that a great way to ask someone if they're interested in something is to ask if it's been on their to-do list. I don't know why, but I found it's a very disarming way of getting them to give you a little commitment. Now, if they say yes, ask them which one. Be confident and happy. Try to set an appointment. Make sure to get their contact information. Once you get that lead, right, you're going to sell it to the companies that you are partnered with. So what you want to do is reach out to local companies in the area, call a bunch of companies and say, hey, I sell leads. I have leads available for the services and products that your company offers, whatever it is that their products or services. I would love to set up a partnership where I can refer people to you for some sort of a founder's fee or affiliate fee. And for like roofing, they'll pay big bucks, solar, big bucks for those leads that actually turn into sales, especially. Now, I promise if you knock on enough doors, you will generate leads for these services. Now, once you have the money that you're making from selling these leads, then you don't have to pound the pavement forever. You'll learn like what works with people, right? Just from doing this over and over again and pitching people on these things, house to house or person to person in the Facebook groups, you're going to get pretty good at it. It's going to suck for the first little bit, but every business does. So if you're watching this and you're like, I just want a business to be great and fun and exciting, it isn't. I'm telling you, it gets fun. It gets exciting. It gets rewarding. But I had to go through years of really disliking my life in many different ways and being super stressed, feeling like I was going to lose everything all the time. I had to go through years of that before I got to the point where I actually liked it. If you're looking to start a business, I don't care what business it is, you are going to go through that. You have absolutely no choice. So maybe you're watching this and you're like, oh, this is just one example too, guys, right? But maybe you're watching this, you're like, oh, I'm going to do that. It's too much. If you think what I'm talking about here is too much work, you are too effing lazy to start a business. You do not have what it takes. You're going to have to grind. And maybe there are some people out there who get lucky, but the people who get lucky are the ones who are scared to lose it all. Because if you really go out and do what I'm saying here, and you can apply this to any business, but you're going to learn how to be successful and you're not going to be scared of losing it because you'll get it back right away. So back to what we were talking about though, make sure to reach out to some businesses in the area and then just sell them the names and numbers of those people who mentioned that they want the services. If you're at that person's house and then they want to pick a date and time, then you can sell that lead for either more. Setting up the appointment would be golden. Contractors, all these people would pay big money for that. But the next thing I'm going to talk about is high ticket sales items like insurance, merchant services, business loans, things like that. Some of these things may require some sort of professional certification, but the same principle applies here. You can cold call and cold door knock small businesses to sell them these services. The reason why I was saying residential, you'd have to really work those social media groups, even Instagram, search for people, who post that they live in the area or something, or just go knock door to door for the leads is because you can't just cold call those people because a lot of them will be on the national do not call list and you can get in trouble for that. Businesses they're not allowed to be on federal do not call list for the most part. So you don't have to worry about getting sued or anything like that. Cold calling isn't the most glamorous thing in the world, but it works. You don't have to do it forever. Like I'm saying, you just do this if you have no money, because if you have no money, you have time. Don't be scared. Just go up. I've had so much rejection now. I literally do not care what anybody says to me about it. I take negativity. I laugh it off. And some of you who are doing this right now and hate it, you hate it because you're only doing it enough just to hate it. And it's true. So you got to do this. You're going to hate it at first. No one likes this. But I promise you get good at it and you're going to like it. I started my insurance agency cold door knocking people in Boca Raton in Florida. I literally walked up and down Federal Highway, A1A, cold door knock businesses until I was generating a consistent flow of sales. I reinvested it into a course to learn how to run digital media ads, social media ads. I check out the video in the description of this video. It teaches you I don't care what business you have, you can use this technique to generate leads for your business. And I learned how to advertise for insurance through paid ads. So I took the money I made cold door knocking and pounding the pavement, cold calling, and then invested it in my business. Businesses need things like merchant services too to save money on their credit card processing fees. It's pretty easy to become an affiliate for a merchant service company. There's a ton of them out there. A friend of mine has one, so just reach out if that's something that you thought you'd be doing. And that can bring you residual income as well, because if you land the deal, you get a small piece of all their transactions moving forward. So small businesses especially too are in need of insurance because they usually don't have any company benefits yet. I'm talking about like health insurance, life insurance, liability insurance. They have to go find that for themselves, right? If you work W-2 somewhere, they might hook you up with some crappy life insurance plan and some health insurance plan or whatever. Insurance can only be sold with a license though, so make sure you get the proper license for any of the products that you're selling. You can generate leads for it without a license, but you can't actually sell it without the license. The cool thing about the businesses I just discussed there are scalable in many different ways. Once you learn how to do it, I mean, you can teach it to others and multiply yourself. If you learn how to generate leads, right? Then teach other people how to do it. They generate leads and give them a piece of the money. If you learn how to sell insurance or merchant services or something like that, teach other people how to do it and grow and scale your sales team. Also, this is huge too. Once you've developed the skill set to sell things in a cold sale or a lead generation setting, and then you invest in yourself to grow, your business will evolve with you. Once you learn how to cold call for sales or, convert leads that you generate, you can sell consulting for that. That's a crazy valuable skill that people will pay a lot of money for. Once you learn how to generate leads on social media and digital media ads for a specific type of business or multiple businesses, you can sell a course or consulting on that for a ridiculous amount of money. So your business will grow with you. Your skills increase significantly. You become like a one-man show, one-stop shop, and you learn how to do so much other stuff. Graphic design, because you have to make things for the ads, right? Video editing, because you have to make videos and edit videos for the ads. So just examples of these skills that you pick up on along the way. Once you have a product to sell, the next problem is figuring out who you're going to sell it to and how you're going to sell it. What are you going to sell? Who are you going to sell it to? How are you going to sell it? And then why are you selling it? Biggest thing is the why, because your business's accomplishments are fueling your purpose and are helping you accomplish better things. I found that basically you need to bring people through a sales process. Everybody's got their own idea, sales process and stuff like that. It all follows a similar structure, but the first step is your greeting or your introduction. And this is the hardest part for most people because this is where you experience the most rejection. There's a stigma about salespeople that they're evil or, whatever the case is. I don't know. Maybe they sold your dad some product that he regretted. And he's like, oh, these salespeople. It's not bad to be a salesperson. Everything in life is a sale, like just about everything. Your ability to sell will determine how far you get in anything. Just about, because you have to convince people on your viewpoint. But don't be scared. I promise it gets easier, and eventually you just stop caring about the rejection. The trick here really is volume. You want to talk to as many people as possible to get good and increase your chances of getting a yes. You want to go for no. There's a good book out there called Go For No. Try to get 100 people a day to tell you no, or 50 people a day to tell you no. Cool. I want to get 50 people today to tell me no, whether it's through social media or cold outreach. I'm going to get 50 people to tell me. After you get through that initial part, you want to ask people questions that may help them with your product or service. So for example, back to the pest control lead generation, if you said, so a lot of people in the neighborhood have been having problems with mice and squirrels in their attic and garage during the winter. Now, sometimes they're living inside the walls and people don't even know until they have structural damage years later. We can get someone out here just to do a free evaluation to check if there's any signs of rodents you may be unaware of. And at the end of the day, if you decided to move forward with a service because there were signs of rodents, the cost of the service, I guarantee you, is exponentially cheaper than the cost of having to repair part of your house in the future from animals chewing away at the structure or termites eating into it or something like that. So then set the appointment and then boom, there's your lead. Call the service company and then say, hey, got a lead for you. $60. Sell me $60. I'll send you the information. Maybe when you're starting, you have to give it to them for free. If you're trying to go through the whole sales process yourself, then you're going to want to go, if you're trying to do like a one call close, like close them right on the product or service right there, you may have to do a little bit more elaborate of a presentation. But with the lead generation, the idea would just be to sell them on the idea of potentially getting the product or service. There are a ton of other skills that you can learn to sell as a service, but this may take some time investment and maybe some money investment, like AI chat and AI conversation and outbound AI voice agents are huge right now in the business development and lead generation space. You can use programs like Go High Level and OpenAI to create chatbots to help nurture leads through a sales process. And you can learn programs like VAPI, VAPI, I don't know what people call it, to develop outbound sales calls agents. And also Play.ht has some AI voice agent stuff, but VAPI is better. These programs allow you to create an outbound voice agent that will sound and act like a real person, so it can learn how to communicate and how to talk. You can have these be for like cold calling or bringing people through appointments. So this is huge. I mean, think of how much money companies spend for business development, for outreach, or for just working leads. So for example, right, say someone as a car dealership, they get a ton of leads that have come in. People, BDC guys at car dealerships, the guys who call the leads, they can get kind of lazy. So I promise you, they are not out there banging out calls all day. And the guy who owns that dealership or their manager wants them making more phone calls. Everywhere I've ever worked, they want the BDC making more phone calls. Imagine you create some sort of program, you learn how to develop it. It doesn't cost a ton of money to learn how to create these programs, just take some time. And then you go to the dealership and you say, look, I have an outbound AI voice agent that can call 500 leads a day. You don't have to pay them any money. It's going to be a one-time startup fee. They will call all your leads and try to book them for appointments for cars. That's like crazy profitable. You can even integrate this type of program into your own lead generation business and use some sort of software to, like I said, Go High Level is a CRM to integrate these voice agents using API integration. So API, essentially, it just connects one program to another so that they can communicate with information. There you have it. It's basically how you start a business with little to no money or startup capital. I covered a few examples there, but that's how it's done in general. All right. Basically, you need a product, an audience, and a general understanding of the sales process. You can learn about the sales process on other YouTube videos. You're not going to know everything before you get started though, so make sure to just take that leap. All right. Post in the comments any advice I can give. I'd love to help you out any way I can. Subscribe to the channel, turn on post notifications, and I hope I was able to help you.